Welcome back, everyone. It is a nice kind of stormy day here. I wanted to talk about all this free wood we got. We got all this free lumber. This is about half of what we got because most of what we have is up on our greenhouse. We framed this up. The rigidity is tenfold stronger. This is awesome. We've got some good solid framework here, and it's a decent sized door. I may end up cutting our frame out a little bit and going down deeper on the outside here. I can excavate all that and do that at a later date. I am more worried about getting the rest of our structure framed up. Take a walk through here. We have got these two centerpieces I built. So these are very, very solid. The structure is nice and taut now. So it's tacked into the poles. We are nice and secure. Affixed on the floorboards. Everything is nice and heavy and squared up. This corner over here is a little low on us, so we're going to end up building that up. I think we had another corner over here. I believe this was a little low too, but for the most part this is holding up. We had some severe storms last night and we got rained out. We were down here working, we were framing up all of these ends here, and we had pretty well got this done. So for the most part, we've got our southern end pretty well affixed. It is nice and taut also. It does not have a lot of play in it. It's nice and solid. So all of this free lumber, I want to talk about it real quick. So where we had acquired all this free lumber at, we had made an old farmer friend, and he lives close to us, and it's always good to know your neighbors and get out there and proactive in the community. I ended up helping this guy move some stuff around and clean up some buildings he had, and he has all types of machinery and equipment that he helped me use. He is the one who came and dug this out with his tiller and tractor. Super friendly guy, awesome acquaintance to make. Nonetheless, he may help me dig a pond with his backhoe someday. So long story short, we've made good acquaintances, and just so happens he had a whole semi full of free lumber, and it was kept dry. Some of these pieces were a little warped on us, but these are for the most part 2x3s, and a lot of these came from the same place, are 2x6s. So we got all of this free lumber just by trading goods and trading work. And we didn't even know he had all of this lumber in the beginning. I just did some work. My kids here helped me do a little bit of work with them. So the little bit of help we put in and helped this new acquaintance friend with helped us out in the long run by creating all of this free lumber and creating the end caps for our greenhouse. I haven't spent a penny on any lumber for this yet, other than the couple boards we used for the base that we had purchased about 6 years ago for another project. So the only thing we've spent money on so far is our actual metal frame of our greenhouse here. So I just want to talk about what we got going on with our northern wall here. As you can see, I kind of framed it up the same kind of way. I didn't go all the way up, but I will fill this in with some angled boards. If we didn't have our miter saw, none of these cuts would have been possible. So on the northern end here, we are going to have our compost pile here and transfer through the wall. And this will be the transfer wall, and this will be a door. We are going to make a door here. We want to be able to open this up in the summertime and have good airflow. We will have a fan running up here in the summertime. So this is just the basic outline of what I'm doing for this structure. Putting this up really solidified the end. So we've connected both of our 26-foot greenhouses and turned it into one 52-foot greenhouse. I just wanted to show what we're doing through every little step of the way, because I don't want to miss a step. I want to be able to look back on this and use this for a guide or directions almost for what I did, and just be able to document what we've got going on. So as I said, yesterday we were down here working on all this, getting it framed out. We've got all three of our thresholds framed up. So now that the frame is up, I am going to start brainstorming on a doorway system. I am probably going to be using 2 split doors, one on each side. That way I can fold them out, and I may have a drop sheet of poly in front of them for a double layer system in the winter here. On each side of our doors here, we are going to put a nice double pane window that we have, and then we will finish this little triangle area with some poly, and we will be able to double poly on both sides. because we had framed this up. So we will be able to run some poly over on this side also to create a double poly barrier. So we're gonna have good light shining through and be able to grow in the entire greenhouse. So I don't want to create or cast any shadows for the winter time grow that I don't have to. That's why this is as hollow and shell-like as it can be right now. Once I get my little designs, if anybody has any ideas for what I got going on or what I kind of talked about with this southern wall or with the northern wall, because up on the northern wall up here, we're going to be putting another door. It'll just be a small door. It will have to be a solid door down on the northern side though, because it is going to have compost piled up on it in order to heat our greenhouse. So we've got a whole nother situation going on at the northern end. The southern end has to be completely transparent so we can grow right through it. If anybody has any ideas on what I can do for the front of this greenhouse, feel free to bounce them off me. I love getting feedback and new ideas on something that I may not have thought of, kind of thinking outside the box. We don't all have the same thought process. Getting somebody else's view on this is very, very important to me, and it seems to be very helpful because I'm always getting different ideas from people and mixing them with my own ideas, and this is what we're coming up with here. So I didn't want this to be a super long update. I just wanted to kind of show what we got for each threshold we have. The southern side, the middle of both the greenhouses where they are connected, and then our northern wall where we're going to be doing something completely different by heating with compost. So we'll have to brace up the northern wall to hold all of that weight on it throughout the winter, and we've got to make this nice and strong because we get heavy snows. So this is just the beginning layout for the framing of this greenhouse, and it's considered a high tunnel greenhouse even though it's not very tall, and all of the dirt is built up. So when I'm walking through here, my head is closer to the ceiling than it normally will be once we get this worked and get a pathway built up in here. So the whole reason I wanted this greenhouse shorter, not taller, is because we have severe winters here. So that led me to design a greenhouse and brainstorm with the greenhouse idea of not having such a high ceiling so we don't have as much to heat. We can heat the greenhouse much easier with much less airspace. And I'm using this for a market greenhouse. We're not growing anything straight up very tall in here. It's all gonna be fresh veggies and cold hardy stuff and leafy greens throughout the winter, so I'm not worried about growing tall items. So heating this greenhouse is a major concern for us, and we are already developing a system and kind of designing it, brainstorming like always, so we can heat this greenhouse. With the lower ceilings, we will have a much easier time heating it and holding heat, and with our double layer of poly and the gap in between, we should have a nice insulation. We're still in the process of figuring everything out, but we've got a good idea of what we want to do, what we want to accomplish. I look forward to growing with everybody and designing this greenhouse. Everything's open to change. Our plans are never final because I'm always researching and finding different ways to do stuff. But for the most part, we have a good design and we know what we want to do. If anybody has anything to offer or input on this, please drop it in the comments below. We're always open to suggestions, and I will get right back to you if you want to bounce some information off of me. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much for watching.